Today is all about blind tasting. In this video, I'm teaming up with friend and fellow Master of Wine, Susan Lin. The objective is to create a bit of a guide for people that are in wine education programs and for people that are just trying to improve their wine tasting skills. Now in this video, our objective is to identify the grape variety or varieties, the vintage, the method of production, the place of origin, the market position, and price for each individual wine. What you'll see in this video is the full blind tasting. This is with all the back and forth banter. Now I did make some edits, and it's really just to tighten up some of the times where there wasn't much conversation going on. But as for Susan, she passed the Master Wine exam back in 2021. For me, it's been more than 20 years. So I've got to admit this right out of the gate. She absolutely crushed it in this video to a point where I thought to myself, hey, this is my YouTube channel and you're making me look bad. But it was a lot of fun. And always with blind tasting, there's plenty to learn, usually with a good dose of humility as well. The 6 wines were selected by a WSET diploma level student. After he opened the bottles, the corks were replaced with plain glass closures. Right. So we're going to spend a little bit of time doing our initial assessment, and then we'll come back and we'll talk through each individual wine, and we'll try to get as detailed as possible. Okay?
Okay.
Through the magic of YouTube, the video will skip over about 15 minutes spent assessing the appearance and the aroma of the 6 wines. Okay, so we've spent a bit of time, a few minutes to assess each wine in terms of the appearance and the aroma, with the hope of maybe finding a banker. And that banker is going to be something that just screams a certain grape variety. So I'm curious, any bankers for you?
Maybe it's just too early in the day or something, but I don't have any bankers. Do you?
Well, there are two. There are two that are taking me down a path immediately.
Yes.
Okay.
That I agree with.
And that is, one is wine 2.
Yeah.
Wine 2, the color, extremely pale. I mean, this wine looks very youthful, very vibrant. Mm-hmm. There's a slight greenish tinge. Yeah. The aroma, a little like herbal, grassy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bright fruit, all primary fruit.
Very aromatic, very intense. Definitely herbal quality. It does have some citrus, some sort of tropical fruit notes on it. Mm-hmm. Very high toned, very, very fresh, very youthful. It definitely has like some, aromatic, high aromatic qualities to this.
And all primary fruit.
All primary fruit. I mean, very youthful.
To me, this looks like something that came out of cool fermentation, inert vessel, yes. No frills winemaking.
Yeah. Meant to be enjoyed immediately, and yeah.
So I'm thinking Sauvignon Blanc, okay, but I'm also thinking I'm going through some other possibilities, and maybe some semi-aromatic Italian variety.
Oh, how interesting! No, but I'm with you on this. This is the closest thing to a banker that I have on here. And also now I think because it's warming up a little bit, mm-hmm. and it's been in the glass for a little bit longer, I'm definitely getting some that pyrazine note on there, mm-hmm. which is definitely indicative of Sauvignon Blanc. But it's not the only grape that has that, of course.
Are you thinking something other than Sauvignon Blanc?
Not right now. I think Sauvignon Blanc is probably the close to what it is, but I did go to Verdejo for a second, uh-huh. right?
Yep.
Okay, because in Reda there are factors of Verdejo in Reda in Spain that have similar qualities: the grassiness, the aromatic quality, perhaps not as aromatic, but perhaps thicker in body also. But I haven't quite tasted it yet.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But keep in mind, we haven't even tasted these yet.
That's true.
So this is simply by the appearance and the aroma. Mm-hmm. So 2, I'm thinking Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And the other one that I'm looking at is 5.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
5, the same? The same, really, in terms of banker.
In terms of banker, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because what happened at first was I got this creamy quality on the nose at first. That was like, I thought, whoa, what the, and then after a moment, I was like, oh. So again, tomato leaf pyrazines here. I'm getting that sort of hello old friend feeling.
Okay.
Yes. So sort of that feeling that I get from when I meet, Bordeaux usually. But that is what was my first thought, but things change. So
have you tasted it?
No.
Okay.
I haven't tasted it.
How about if we take a look at number 2?
Yeah. Okay.
And typically when you're going through these tastings, and if you're in an exam sort of situation, now for the MW exam, we would have 12 wines per day. You certainly don't need to taste the wines in the order that they're set. So if you can find a banker, or perhaps maybe one that seems a little more lighter, a little more brighter, fresher, more aromatic, you have something that's maybe more of a more secondary characteristic with more oak, maybe more alcohol to it, you may choose to taste that a little bit later. Mm-hmm. But it's all personal preference and whatever you get accustomed to. But 2 seems to be the one we're hanging our hat on. Yeah. So, all right. Okay, my feeling on this is a very recent vintage.
Yes.
I mean, I would say 23.
Yeah, like max 2 years of age, but yeah, max.
Yeah, it's all primary.
Super fresh.
Primary fruit, bright, fresh, loads of fruit. I think it has some nice intensity to it. I'm going to say this is Sauvignon Blanc.
I'm with you on that. It's got a nice sharp acidity to it. Always Sauvignon Blanc, known for good acidity as well. Really isn't any oak treatment on this, which is, I mean, Sauvignon Blanc can be made with oak on it, but this kind of fresh style and early drinking style usually is inert vessel, right? So that's another clue.
I mean, I use this line all the time. This has not even kissed a toothpick.
I've never heard of that.
There's no wood in this wine at all. I'm feeling pretty confident about that. Where do you think it's from?
Well, it's pretty much bone dry, and so True. That's another thing that usually takes me away from Marlborough. It's a kind of a classic place. Like, they tend to have just a little bit more residual sugar, a little bit more body, but things change all the time in terms of winemaking. So that's it's not necessarily something they go on, but so because when we're thinking about classic regions for Sauvignon Blanc, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking about the Loire Valley, right? We're talking about Marlborough. Like those are 2 huge places for that. And of course, this is a grape that many regions around the world do work with.
If I'm going through the checklist, I don't think this is New Zealand.
I don't think so.
Okay. I would expect Marlborough to be much more overt in style. And like you mentioned, oftentimes there's a little underlying RS.
Right.
I don't get that. This is fermented dry. Mm-hmm. I don't see this coming from Loire unless it's more of like an entry price point of something.
Right.
But in terms of calling this Puy Fumé, Sancerre, Manitou Salon, no. I don't think so. Mm. The quality does not seem to be quite up to the standard that I would expect in many places in Northeast Italy. I can't imagine.
No, and I think stylistically also, I mean, there's also the ripeness quality of the fruit, right? So, I mean, it is very varietally classic in terms of the citrus, the pith, and the kind of like the passion fruit sort of tropical fruit notes of this, and that combination I think speaks really well. But I think it's with this fresh style and this kind of ripeness, it is an early drinking style, more of an entry level style to be consumed immediately. It brings a lot of pleasure up front and a lot of zing. It's got a little bit of a spicy quality to it. The body is medium to light. It's very enjoyable. So I think thinking this could be definitely it could be a California New World, like New World California style that is often sold, and it is very reasonably priced.
So for me, I'm thinking 3 areas that come to mind. I think this is much more of an opening price point. I think this is a wine that sells for under $10. I think it's kind of a commercial, broad market sort of wine.
Yeah, I would say 9 to 15, but maybe just to give it a range. But
okay, all right. So,
yeah.
But 10-ish.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm thinking South Africa does not have any of the characteristic I would expect there. For me, I'm thinking this is basic California appellation, like kind of throw it wide and far, possibly, but I would think many of those would have a little hint of sweetness.
They would have a lot more residual sugar on them, yeah.
I'm not getting that. I was thinking maybe something as broad and generic as like Vin de France.
Yeah, it could be. That was the other thing I was thinking of, because I would definitely agree with you. If we were going to put this in France, I wouldn't put this as like a more specific appellation, like that's known for real quality, like premium level.
Yeah.
Sauvignon Blancs, like Puy Fumé or Manatu Salon, but there's some really beautiful wines also coming out of Cancy, or that are actually really well priced as well. But it could be Vin de France, or it could be a Loire appellation as well. It's got a beautiful freshness to it.
To me, the other place that comes to mind, and I do a fair amount of work with wines from this area, I could see this coming from Chile.
Chile was the other place that I was funneling after New Zealand, but again, I'm not getting that. It's so bone dry, yes, but I'm not getting that kind of body that I would normally get, and it's the nature of the pepper on is the pyrazine is not as jalapeno style, so that's the reason why I didn't sort of put it in my last assessment. But at the same time, it is absolutely something I funneled.
So with a place like Chile, if you're at one of the coastal areas, a place like Leyda, Casablanca, I think the quality would be higher than what this. To me, this is kind of like made for a broad audience, kind of I don't want to say bulk, but this is a wine it's made well, but it doesn't have anything that really gives it that it factor.
Yeah. The finish is medium short. It's fun, but upon nosing it again, I'm like, am I getting more jalapeno? I'm not sure, but yeah, I agree with you in terms of the price category.
Okay, so we're saying vintage
23.
Okay, 23 grape variety Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
We've also, for a bit I thought maybe something like Entre deux Mers. I don't think so. It doesn't have the character that would be typical of a kind of a non-oak style from Bordeaux. So I think no.
Yeah, I'm not getting any sense of Semillon like on the palate at all, or the texture.
The aroma's not right either.
Mm-hmm.
Place of origin. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm thinking California is where I'm at right now.
All right, you're going California. I'm kind of going back and forth. I'm thinking Chile, possibly Vin de France. I think the wine is too dry for many from California. So to me, that kind of throws it out.
That's a good point.
And oftentimes I would expect the alcohol to be a little bit more elevated too. Mm-hmm. But anyway, market position, I think this is a wine for broad market, quick consumption,
immediate enjoyment.
Yeah.
It's perfect for it.
And price? You think 10 to 15?
Yeah, I think between 10 and 15.
All right, I'm saying 10-ish. Okay. So, all right. Okay, so the reveal for wine 2, which was actually the first wine that we reviewed.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Get out of town.
You're right.
Okay, so 2024 Peregrinos Sauvignon Blanc from the Central Valley of Chile. Sauvignon Blanc Central Valley of Chile. So this is kind of a catch-all area, you know, kind of a broad market area.
Central.
Get out of town. Look at this.
2024. Yeah, well, because Southern Hemisphere, right?
So we're shooting this video in July of 2024. This wine would have been, the fruit for this would have been harvested in late February, March.
Yeah.
So let's see. Yeah, okay. It shows Central Valley, 100% out of stainless steel, 12% alcohol.
We forgot to talk about alcohol.
I've got to tell you, it's nice seeing alcohol levels tick down a little bit. $6.
And you know what? The fact that it's from Chile, $6 makes more sense with this price category. Like in California, it would be more like, you know, 9 to 15. But great point about the RS levels probably being a little bit higher for California for that price category.
Got it.
Well done.
Well, it's very early. So, but I tell you, I do a lot of work in Chile, so I taste a lot of these wines.
That's great.
Okay, you want to do one or three next?
Wait, let me know these.
Because there's something kind of wacky about three. So,
you want to do three just for fun? Let's just do it.
Fine, fine. Okay, so this wine actually has a tiny bit of CO2.
It's spritzy. You can see the little bubbles on the side of the glass there.
Yeah. So,
and compared to wine two is definitely the aromatic one of the whites here. And so it's always a little bit tough to go from an aromatic to a non-aromatic sometimes, especially on an, you know, the exam. But we did that because it was more of the banker.
Right.
But, so in this case, there's something a little waxy on the nose, isn't there? It's like it's much more low toned in terms of
much more low toned.
Yeah, it's not like there are bright notes of anything, but there is citrus and honeysuckle that I'm getting, but it's much more muted. Like it's not sitting at the top bright.
There's some serious acidity there.
Woo!
Serious acidity.
The acidity is like coming down the inside of my.
Okay, see, this one's making me a little. Sharp. This one's making me a little nervous, and I think I got a little sweat mustache going. So, wow. Okay, so the color on this, it's pale, but it's not like straw pale.
No.
There's a little bit of a yellow tone to it.
A little gold tint in the heart of it.
So it makes you think perhaps maybe did this have maybe a little bit of skin contact? Does it have maybe a little bottle age to it? But I'll tell you, on the nose, it is like call it like moderate intensity, but it's not a well-defined aromatic. Like it can pull something out.
It's got, like I said, the citrus and the honeysuckle on the nose translates to the palate, but it is very muted. And what actually stands out more on the palate and on the finish is kind of like a light earthiness rather. And it's got a little bit of, you know, you feel the tang on your tongue from the acidity for sure.
Comparing this to the previous wine, this I think is much higher quality. There's much more to this wine. I just don't think it's showing its full range quite yet.
Yeah, it's very interesting though, because like in terms of wood, do you think there's any barrel ferment on this? Because, you know, on the nose, it's so.
I don't think there's any overt oak here.
There's no overt oak, that's for sure.
You know, if it's out of oak, I'd say it's neutral.
It's neutral. It's definitely neutral, if anything. But I feel like there's a little bit of textural quality to it. I feel like there's a little bit of tannin on it. Like you said, it could be skin contact, could be, you know, right? But at the same time, it's like, what neutral grape are you trying to get more skin contact out of, you know, in terms of thinking about what this could be? Right?
So if we're trying to drill down on this a bit, vintage, I think this has maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe 3 max, but even up to 4, but maybe max.
Like 21-ish.
Yeah, but
2021.
Yeah, I'd say 22, 20, 21 would be the max.
Okay. Okay. What about grape variety or varieties?
So this is not an aromatic variety. Definitely not an aromatic variety, but you know, it doesn't it doesn't have enough fruit intensity to be able to withstand any newer oak, obviously, right? And it's not showing here, but it does seem like there's some sort of something oxidative about it, maybe.
It's just the acidity that really is really amped up.
And because when I think like high acidity, this color, and it's a little bit, it's got a little bit of earthy quality to it. Sometimes I think like, okay, Chenin Blanc could be, but it doesn't have the rest of the fruit on there.
You mean like Sauvignon?
Going towards that style.
Interesting. Okay.
But that would use more oak probably on it as well. And it does have the acid, but Sauvignon. Let's think about the alcohol level here, because if it was, say, for example, with Sauvignon, it would be probably a higher alcohol level, and
pushing 15.
And this one, I don't think. No, not at all.
I'll tell you what I'm thinking of with this. This reminds me of some of the wines I've had. Sicilian, maybe, like southern Italy, Fiano kind of, with...
I was trying to see whether there was any sort of ash volcanic quality to it. I'm not sure I'm getting that, because I thought of that too. I thought of that. But what's really, really remarkable about this one is just I'm left with the sense of pith and like citrus rind at the end.
So where's that taking you?
I know, I'm trying to figure that out. But so non-aromatic, I mean, what could there possibly be in northern Italy with this sort of acidity? Or, in terms of Piemonte, in terms of Veneto.
I don't see
that either.
Like Arnaise, right?
No.
I don't see that at all.
But in my mind, I just sort of run through them, you know what I mean? And I'm not.
Whenever in doubt, there's two places. You go either to Italy or Portugal.
Yep. I was in Portugal for a second, but I wasn't. They're doing bigger styles of Vino Verde now. Like they're doing really, ageable styles, but
what's with a little bit of CO2?
That's why I was thinking Portugal maybe at first when I hadn't tasted it yet, because there are more serious styles of Vino Verde that still have the CO2 on it, but aren't that like style. But
northern Portugal.
Yeah. Minho. Yeah. So I actually went there first because, if we want it, it's not the typical style that's imported to the United States a lot, that style that people know of, like, the under $10 Vino Verde, that's just super fresh, super spritzy, because this could be like, there are styles that maybe don't focus as much on Alvarinho, which gives you that peachy quality and everything else, but maybe it's like, Loureiro or, other ones like that are a little bit less aromatic, but does it have the, Irintu does have sort of the acid, but.
Man, okay, this one's rough, because I tell you, I'm going through different places. I certainly don't see this anywhere in the New World. I can't imagine where. I don't think so. For me, I like Sicily. I go to maybe like something like Grillo, maybe.
Yeah, because less aromatic, but
some
acid. This kind of acid though for Grillo.
I know, but maybe something funky. I'm thinking like a place like Sardinia or something. I was thinking Peakpool came to mind.
Oh, that's a good point. It is herbal.
Because, you get a little of the spritz.
Yeah,
the alcohol's not elevated. Okay.
You can see we've been going all over the place with this, but it's kind of fun that way. This is funky and it's delightful, and I'm really curious as to what it is.
I'm going to say 21 vintage. Okay, so it's about 3 years old. Grape variety.
You have a good point with Pigpool on that, because the only reason that I would go away from, well, I mean, it could be a blend. It could be a blend of Vino Verde. That is more of like a serious, kind that isn't as focused on the Alvarinho. So just for fun, I'll say that to be contrasting with you.
Okay.
How's
All right.
that?
Okay. I'm going with peak pool.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good one, actually.
Somewhere from the south of
Yeah.
France.
By the way, I also went to Greece just for fun, but I couldn't place it anywhere. Like, you know, in terms of the Peloponnese, in terms of assyrtiko, in terms, you know, like Santorini, like not. But I went there.
Man,
I went there, and it's definitely not as aromatic and not as high in alcohol, not as big in body as assyrtiko would be.
Yeah. So, I'm with you there. What do you think about price?
Oh, good. We haven't talked about that. This is definitely much more of like I think a hand sell wine. A hand sell wine. I guess, let's see. Price point. That's a tough one because
I don't think this is like,
it's not super premium, you know.
and it's not super cheap.
But it's not super cheap, right?
I'm thinking 25.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah. I'm thinking 20, 25-ish. If I was to put it in, if I was to stick with the theory of Vino Verde, you know, where I'm at right now, that's what I would go with.
All right. So we're going to see what this is. 2022 Santo Assyrtiko from Santorini, Greece. This is wine number 3.
Holy, wait, no. It isn't, oh my God!
Get out.
Oh my God! What? Okay, sorry. I just said it probably wasn't going to be a Assyrtiko, and it is. So let's think about this. It's 22. Okay, so we're pretty good with the year here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Producer is Santo. This is like a good, solid producer. Assyrtiko 2020.
This is not typical. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, it's typical of peak pool. Let's see. 2022 vintage. Yep. Assyrtiko, Santorini,
no
Greece, no oak, inert vessel.
13% alcohol.
With a retail price of $30. So
wow.
A couple things we were in the ballpark, but oh man. Okay. That was a reality check.
So normally I would expect a lot more fruit on this. So there is a bit of salinity on it, but usually I would get more fruit and a lot more sort of this, the acidity also, the balance of the acidity alcohol is also not something that I would, but also I would look for at least 14% alcohol usually. For Santorini Assyrtiko, that style is usually a bit higher in alcohol and bigger in body. Like you get a sense of like a lot more like batonnage on a lot of Assyrtiko coming from Santorini. I mean, of course, there are different styles. There are fully oaked styles as well. I mean, so you know, these are just ones that, you know, what we've tasted more typically in terms of like what has come onto the market.
And there are some styles that actually have very good longevity as well. But interesting. I'll tell you, I think the wine's very good.
Yeah.
For me, when I think of Santorini, I still think best tomatoes anywhere. Yeah. All right. Wine number 1.
Wine number 1. Okay. This is a slightly golden, you know, deeper hue on it, right?
I'll tell you, with this wine, at first I was thinking, could this be a banker?
Yes, I thought that too.
And immediately I'm thinking, oh, this is Chardonnay. And then I went back to it and I thought, okay, it's got a little bit of this like peachy apricot thing going on. Could this be Pinot Gris?
The peachy quality, I see, yeah.
But I'm thinking Chardonnay.
I'm thinking Chardonnay because there is wood on here. It's done really well.
Yep.
But it has a subtle baking spice quality to it, very warm, that suits this really well. I haven't even tasted it yet, but it just has this beautiful, you know, classic sensibility of how wood can, when used judiciously, wraps itself well around a grape variety like Chardonnay.
I'll tell you, there is some oak character here, but it doesn't dominate. I think it's nicely integrated. It plays a nice complementary role.
Beautiful.
Moderate acidity.
Moderate to high, like, you know, I mean, to a little kind of takes me more towards Old World a little bit.
So look, Chardonnay, a little bit like chicken breast of the wine world. You can do all kinds of
Mm.
things with it. But to me, this feels very classic.
Yes.
There is some oak character here. It's got that creamy sort of character on the palate. I think there's definitely some ML going on here, some malolactic.
Yeah, partial, probably good amount of lees stirring. Nice creaminess on the mid palate,
Yes.
but not overly done. Just really refined, elegant, and yet there's a nice generosity to the mid palate. It opens up on the mid palate. Nice quality.
I mean,
So
for me, this immediately, I'm thinking somewhere in Burgundy.
that's exactly where I am
But
because of
where?
that combination, right? So
I don't think this is something amazing.
no,
I think it's a solid, very well made wine,
mm-hmm.
but not at a very high
Right.
high level.
It doesn't have overt new oak on it, and it has a good medium body. It's a lighter wine, and so I think if it has any oak on it, it's neutral. I mean, or older oak, and maybe some of the newest oak on there is maybe 1 year barrels, but used.
I mean, if I have to start to eliminate areas, I don't see this coming from somewhere in the Côte de Beaune. I don't see this from Chablis. To me, this is more maybe like Côte Chalonnais, kind of maybe even a nice style from somewhere in Macon.
Yeah, it does have some ripeness to it. I mean, it does have the classic bit of tartness, the citrus, the honey, the orchard fruit, like the bit of yellow apple on there.
Yeah.
But a bit of like apricot also. But it's kind of general. It's just a beautiful kind of soft, elegant character. I was thinking of Bourgogne Blanc, actually, perhaps.
Okay.
Right. Maybe 2 to 3 years of age on it.
The alcohol does not seem very high.
No.
It actually takes me to like, this is not one of those really ripe vintages. And in the last few, it takes me to 21.
Yeah, I would say 21, but at the same time, if it was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you think about market position? Like, this is a wine I think you want to drink over the next couple of years.
Yeah,
this is not a keeper. This does not have the structure. Okay.
And it's a good quality, more entry level Burgundy. Right.
Okay. So price point, what do you think?
Well, if it's from a producer, it's still. I mean, prices for Burgundy have definitely gone up. If it's going to be Bourgogne Blanc, it could be anywhere from. Gosh, I would say like if it was like Macon Village, it could still be as low as $15, but this is going to be more towards 20 plus, like
I'm
20,
thinking
25.
For me, I'm thinking even a little higher.
Well,
I'm thinking 30, 35-ish.
Exactly.
Wouldn't shock me if it was 40.
That's true, because it is good quality.
All right. Any place else? Are we jumping to a conclusion too quickly?
I mean, it just seems so lovely, Bourgogne Blanc. But you have a good point about, what if it was something else? I mean, I don't know.
Margaret River.
I did funnel that, but I just not quite getting that sort of.
The fruit character is not right.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. The wines from there are generally not going to be sky high in alcohol.
No.
And I think this one's probably like 13.
Yeah, 13. That's what I have down.
I can't imagine where else this could be. Okay, so we're going to sink or swim on this.
Yeah,
and if we
let's just
miss,
do it. We'll learn something.
But anyway, okay, so let's see what we have here. So this was actually wine 1. Oh my God, rock star. Okay,
so good producer, Roche de Bellene.
2021 Maison Roche de Bellene Cuvee Reserve Bourgogne Blanc.
Oh, it's 100% mallow. So it is. Yeah. It doesn't say what. I mean, it obviously has oak on it, but I don't think there's anything new on here.
Yeah, I would, or if it's minimal.
Minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some good information on the side label, but it doesn't really,
Yeah.
it doesn't get into all the fine details.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what we have here in terms of price. Wow, the suggested retail on this, $24.
Okay, that's
I'd
good.
say that's a bargain.
Let's go get a case.
And the alcohol on this is 12.5.
No.
So
Excellent.
very typical of what you'd find from that vintage. God, you just ripped on that.
I love Burgundy.
Good going. Good going.
This is like my other hello old friend, you know. but
well,
because it was I'm glad that we kind of did that one, the number 2 first, because it's sometimes on the exam I would do the less aromatic ones first.
Yeah.
Just because, like, you know, sometimes it's hard to get the finer, subtle characteristics out of a less aromatic wine after you've done one that's really strong. But I'm glad that we did it this way, because, you know, you can choose to do it however you want.
I'll tell you, for the first 3, I mean, we did well on the first wine, the third wine, and we really dropped it on the second. So, ready for the reds?
So 2, 3, and 1. But 3, the assyrtiko, was so interesting. That was a good lesson. I'm going to come back to this after it's run. So let's do the reds.
Okay, for the reds, we're just going to go through in the order that the wines were set. So we have wines 4, 5, and 6. And
taste for the first time here, but this is really, really deep in color. It's opaque.
A little bit of a purpley hue as well.
Yeah, lightens a little bit up towards the rim.
I mean,
it's
like, this will singe your eyebrows. There's some alcohol in this wine.
Yes, it's big.
Immediately, this takes me to some area that's really warm.
The fruit is very ripe, almost kind of
baked.
Yeah, I was almost going to say roasted, but
yeah.
It's got a lot of earth on the nose as well, along with that ripe fruit. Something very, very savory about it. Very savory, wouldn't you say?
I mean, this feels like old school winemaking. This has got to be some place that's doing something really traditional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, this has got to be somewhere in Europe. I can't imagine this coming from anywhere else.
I mean, unless it was very, you know, smaller production or something very specific.
Something
which happens.
Funky, artisanal, possible. But, you know, when you've got to work through the funneling process and start to eliminate, you know, you got to start hedging your bets.
Just had my first taste. Woo! Spicy. It is big bodied. It is got tannins that are a bit dusty and grainy. It's rustic in style. This is big. This is like, do you think this is pushing 15% alcohol?
I think it's all of that. I mean, there's some heat on the nose. When you look at the color of this, kind of a purple color. It's certainly not opaque at the core. There's a bit of fade as you get out to the edge of the glass. I think the wine has a little bit of mileage to it. I'm going to say this is like maybe 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, 5.
You're getting some of the little tertiary characteristics in this.
Yeah, extremely savory. I think the savory quality is in part from whatever grape variety or varieties is being used in here, and also a factor of beginnings of some tertiary characteristics from maturity. I think it's a combination of those two things. Also because the fruit is just a little stewed, you know, like it's.
What do you think in terms of variety of varieties?
You know, I think one of those varieties that lends itself to being very full-bodied and very sort of savory, very, very earthy. I think Mourvedre is definitely in the running for this.
See, okay. I'm going down the path of like GSM.
Yeah. That's why I said grape variety or grape varieties, because I think this could be.
Yeah, it's got this like very ripe, full Mediterranean character to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
it has an earthy medicinal quality.
Yeah, it's a little medicinal. I mean, it's not dirty. I'm not getting that's kind of funk. You know, sometimes it's a little bit like, you know, the expression I use sometimes, a little gritty and shitty. I'm not getting that. It doesn't have like the dirty diaper thing going on.
No.
But this has like artisanal winemaking written on it. This is not something made for the masses.
No, it's for people who know the style and like it, and or a hand sell. Definitely would, because of the body and the alcohol, would definitely benefit from being paired with food. Like definitely grill food. This would be good for, you know.
But where is this from? I mean, I go to Southern Rhone or maybe like a place like Bandol. It has some of that characteristic.
Again,
and
Mourvedre,
and that funk character to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is very characterful. It definitely leaves its mark. But again, agreed with you. Some place that where, you know, warm, you could achieve a lot of ripeness. I was thinking, you know, it doesn't really have. It's not striking me as like Pure Rot or any other place like that, because you know
that crossed my mind.
Right.
For a second.
It crossed my mind for about a second and a half, and but you know, it just doesn't really have that. You know, it is hot and it does use those grape varieties, but at the same time,
and something like again, if I'm in Spain, thinking like, you know, Hotel Requena, that kind of thing. But you know, there it's going to be Tempranillo. This is not.
It's going to be much brighter in style too.
Yeah, this is
dark.
I don't think this is Bobal.
No,
I don't think so. The aroma's not right for it.
So I went to Hungary for a second too.
Oh, really? Share this.
Yeah, and you know, just thinking, you know, what could this be? You know, is it like, or are we, you know, could this be a blood wine? You know, that sort of thing.
Really?
You know, just going towards like,
the alcohol seems too high.
The alcohol does seem too high. That's why I was there for, like I said, you know, I went there for a second. But because of the earthiness, and because of the way it just kind of punches at you in a way, I went there. Does that make sense? Like, it is powerful. Well, it is earthy. It is rustic in style, but it is definitely a style that was meant to be made.
Vintage. I'm
5, maybe.
I'm thinking like 1819, something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm thinking, but if I was on the exam, I'd be putting 5 to 8 years on this. Like that's
casting the net quite wide.
No, for my notes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for my notes. That's what
All
I
right.
do.
Okay.
But yeah, 1819, that makes sense.
I'm going to say GSM. I'm going to say this is GSM.
But from like maybe something more like, you know, one of the Southern Rhone, like I
could be like, I'm thinking something like a big, more rustic style. Like it could be like Vacqueyras, Resto, something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. If I was going to go there, that would be where I would go. I'm trying to look more for like, you know, what if it would have like the S and the G in it. Because at first I was more inclined to go to Bandol because of just the tannins.
Right,
I mean,
see, we're both.
Yeah. So I mean, because the tannins are, but it does have a bright note to it and a vinous quality that Grenache does bring. So
if this is Bandol, it's more old school Bandol.
Yeah, and that's the kind of Bandol that, you know, I kind of know and love. But would it be meteor? You know, would it be meteor? I mean, it's so. How about let's go with that. We have our Vacqueyras and or Rasto and 2019
and Bandol kind of in the on deck circle.
Yeah, on the on deck circle. Let's try it. So this is number 4.
Okay. All right, you're gonna do the reveal.
All right.
I feel humility coming.
It is Mourvedre, but it's from Spain.
2019 Cabeza Gorda Monastrell from Bullas, Spain. The alcohol 15%.
So we got 15.
Okay.
Yeah. You got 15.
So this is an area that is kind of like east, southeast part.
Yeah.
What is this? South of like Alicante, I think, is where this is located.
It is south. It should be south. But wait, where's this? Wait,
and this area is kind of a like Mediterranean / continental. It's not full on Mediterranean, especially, you know, you get away a little, get this rather mountainous.
Yeah.
Man, good job.
All right.
Good job. Wow.
That was a good discussion.
Okay.
What's Spain?
That was tough.
Yeah.
That was tough.
Okay, number 5.
All right.
So this is what we had for a banker for, I would say, Cabernet Sauvignon because, okay, well, first of all, it's almost like a purple tinge on. This is opaque. This is deep,
yeah,
you know, opaque, almost purple, almost to the rim here. But it does have a distinctive tomato leaf quality on the aroma. So I haven't tasted it yet. But is that what you were getting? That was pointing you also there?
I mean, I'm going right to cab on this. It has like the cassis, black fruit, the color density is all there. I mean, it's ticking all the right boxes.
Got a good, fresh acidity, almost a little piquant, a little spicy. Got some serious legs going down the glass here.
This is not for the timid.
This is huge.
I think this is really youthful. I think this wine, like, very young, made for some long-term keeping. The tannins are tight, but they're ripe. I mean, they're not coarse tannins, but they're very evident. You get that drying on the back palate.
And what I love about the tannins is that it's like for Cabernet, often like, you know, they'll kind of go around your palate and then like focus right on the front palate. Like I always get it right behind my teeth. I don't know if you get that too for Cabernet a lot, in terms of the tannins.
I'm gonna have to think about that one. Okay.
That's it's very assertive. The tannins are assertive. Definitely have that tomato leaf quality. There is an earthy like tobacco like.
Yeah, there is a tobacco character.
Darjeeling tea leaf.
And very high quality wood. There's nothing cheap about this wine. I mean, this is layered. There's some nuance to it. I mean, completely different style from the previous wine.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm saying this is Cab, maybe a Bordeaux blend, but it's certainly Cab Sauv is
dominant.
Yeah, that's the main player here.
But
where's that from?
I mean, it's quite herbal. It does really retain that pyrazine quality to it, which is nice, you know. But there's also this sort of soft, creamy like layer sitting on top of it. I don't know if that's just me.
It's extremely high quality fruit.
Yeah, I think you know what it is. That I get it now. It's the wood. It's a judicious use of high quality wood. That's what I'm getting. It gives that creamy sort of softness to it. That's for a wine that's this young. The tannins are kicking. The fruit is extremely ripe, but that the wood is bringing kind of like a creamy softness to it, which is really, really lovely. It's really well made.
Yeah, this
price point is going to be. We didn't discuss the price point for that one for wine 4, but
we did. We missed out.
Yeah. I didn't read the thing. It was $25. It was well made. Yeah, 15%.
Yeah. That's a lot of vino for $25.
Yeah. Southern Spain was a good deal.
This one, I think Cab Sauv is where I'm going.
I'm with you.
It's not very old. I'd say like 21 vintage, long time in oak.
Yeah.
Very high quality fruit. Okay, where is it from, and what is the cost?
Any eucalypt on this? We have to go to Australia.
I tell you, this is what I was thinking as well. I thought the same. There's a little bit of like
a little bit of menthol
eucalyptus thing going on,
and it's high quality. I mean, obviously there are regions in especially like in South Australia where you get a lot of high quality Cabernet, you know, made really, really well there.
You think of like Barossa, Coonawarra.
Yeah, not McLaren Vale. usually like a bigger style there. But I'm not thinking. Are you thinking California? We have to funnel California, obviously, and Washington.
Washington, I don't think the structure is right.
I don't think so either. But I just kind of go through everything in my mind, but like I didn't land on there.
Yeah. I mean, I spent a good amount of time in Washington. I taste a lot of Washington wines. I don't think so.
Yeah, I get
I don't
more.
think so.
I get more like darker, like even sort of like brighter but darker fruit on Washington, like a little purple. But yeah, this one's interesting. It's lovely. It is big, like you were saying. It's not for the faint of heart. So it is a very aggressive style, and like it's just it's high in alcohol too.
I mean, it's a really modern style, extremely well made. I'm nudging towards Australia.
I'm in Australia just because of the level of ripeness, the level of sensitivity to it's well made, it's clean, but it still has it keeps the herbal tomato leaf style of Cabernet. So I'm kind of going towards Coonawarra here.
So you said you threw out California as well.
Just because you kind of have to, for Cab, you have to funnel Bordeaux to California for Cab.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe Napa, but I don't. But I'm getting that sort of that menthol eucalyptus thing.
Yeah,
so,
and
it's
the fruit characteristic is a little different. It's ripe and it's ripe, but it's different than like the kind that I would get in Napa. Even like even if it's like mountain fruit, it would be more towards like a brooding quality. But this isn't brooding. It's just
okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna say Australia, Coonawarra,
South Australia. I'm gonna go Coonawarra if you want.
I'll say Barossa just
okay.
To be.
Yeah.
But what do you think the price of this is?
Oh yeah. Okay. So we're getting towards premium, super premium here.
This is not cheap.
Yeah. Gosh. SRP could be. Gosh, should I aim high? Like
I'm gonna
75.
I think north of 75.
75.
I mean, there's nothing cheap about this wine. The wine has a massive amount of extract. It's well made. Mm-hmm. There is a heaping helping of oak in here of high quality.
And used judiciously.
I mean, there's nothing cheap about this. So $75.
Yeah, that was where I was like, it's Napa.
Wah, wah.
Hey, Honig, good job.
2021 Honig Cabernet Sauvignon, Bartolucci Vineyard, St. Helena, Napa Valley, California. This is their high end.
Yeah, this is their.
What does the slip say inside?
Yeah. So we got the vintage, we got the alcohol.
God, we're dancing all around.
It's okay. Hey, we funneled it. We had to funnel it. Okay, so now that you know that it's a Napa, how much do you think it is?
Oh, $100 plus.
Yeah, 120. Okay. What a great wine, though. This is well made.
I don't know how long this has been open. Thinking
it's
probably a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
This wine actually might drink better like tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, I would say tomorrow.
Yeah.
Put it in the fridge overnight.
Man.
That's great. That's great.
Okay.
Hey, at least we weren't like, this is Aglianico, guys, So
No. All right, we're up to the sixth and final.
All right.
See if we can end on a high note.
And we will regardless, because we're doing this together.
All right. You're gonna pull me to the finish line.
This is super pale. So compared to the last two, I don't know if you probably can't see it, but it's very, very pale. It's like it's like it's almost translucent. It's like a pale ruby with a bit of like orange tinge to it, like almost like it's bricking a little bit.
Yeah, at the edge you do get a little bit of orange.
Yeah, it is. I definitely am getting some volatile acidity on this. Anise, leather.
Yeah, that little VA elevated, a little bit of like a prickly feeling almost on your nose.
Dusty sour cherries.
Oh, big time sour cherry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you the other, this has some of those tertiary characteristics. Again, I would say we're definitely going down something that's very artisanal, traditional sort of, but grape variety. I mean, I'm immediately going to Italy and kind of going through a checklist of things that it can be.
That's exactly what I did.
Sour cherry like crazy.
Volatile acidity, like a very pale color, not being tremendously, mature. There's an earthier quality that dominates an ease leather light intensity. I mean, just Italy. Going to Italy here.
Really,
so let me taste it.
Really dry on the back palate. And there's some tertiary characteristics here. I mean, I think this wine has some bottle age to it.
It has bright acidity, a little tart, tangy.
It's almost something that's a little bit like cranberry.
Yeah, red berry for sure. And
but like a tangy sort of berry character.
Yeah, the acidity has a bit of a tart finish to it as well. It's very elegant. It's very well composed. It's well knit. And it's medium intensity, medium alcohol.
I'm not feeling so well composed.
But
I'll tell you, on the palate, the aroma and the palate, immediately I'm thinking, okay, this is Sangiovese, Nebbiolo, something like that. I think you can throw out the northeast part of Italy. It doesn't have any of that sort of character.
Not the Valpolicella sort of thing at all. Not the Veneto.
No.
Yeah, nothing of that style. It's definitely got a warmer climate feel to it.
Yeah.
I think, but I mean, at first, for the same reasons that were just mentioned, Nebbiolo and Sangiovese were the first ones. First of all, the light color, the sour cherry, dusty cherries, leather notes to it.
The structure is not as hard as what I would be thinking with something like Nebbiolo.
It doesn't have the acidity.
It's more accessible.
It doesn't have the acidity. It doesn't have that sort of tannic oomph that comes with Nebbiolo that you often get. This is delightful in terms of approachability.
Sour cherry, lifted acidity. You get a little bit of an orange rim. I mean, all those things take you to Sangiovese.
I'm with you on that.
And really dry on the back palate.
Yep, bone dry, a bit of earthy dustiness on the back palate on the finish.
Yeah, we're like sprinting to a place.
Yeah,
which always feels a little dangerous.
Yeah, but I just because I went to Greece also and came back, and just to not, I mean, the color is really light, but sometimes with that sort of a bit of that VA, a little bit, you can get some really ripe examples of assyrtiko that could go in that direction. But this is too light, too elegant, it's the
word you hit, that's elegant. This is too elegant.
It's very well composed and very elegant, and it's just, and the tannic structure is also really, really nice. It's fine, it's ripe, but it has a bit of dustiness to it that often I get in Sangiovese as well. It goes right to the front palate.
So we're going to Tuscany.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to Tuscany. In terms of age, maybe I'd say a little bit, slightly more maturity on this one, right?
I'm going to say this is like 5 to 7 years old.
Yeah.
So, and this does not have a huge amount of oak to it.
Anything, they're larger, larger vessels of neutral.
Yes, there's no overt oak character in this wine. All right, how specific do you feel like we can go?
So if we look at the release of this wine, it's obviously Chianti Classico has some requirements for aging, right? And then, I mean, because it could be a Normale that was kept for longer, but but it is. I think it is more of like a, it's not like a large. It's definitely not a Brunello style. It's not a, it doesn't have that sort of alcohol or the body.
Yeah. And I
it's
think
a different style.
Yeah, it doesn't have the structure for something like Brunello. And look, you're looking at wines that would have, I think they would have more developed tertiary characteristics than this.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is light and enjoyable, but
it's not something like Chianti Classico Reserva.
no.
It might be Chianti Classico.
That was my first thought, just because it has shown that it has the ability to age gracefully and keeping its structural integrity and its elegance.
Yeah.
And the fruit has persisted, long enough for it. That's why that was where I kind of landed. Or I landed.
I mean, there's some other things that it could be in Tuscany.
Absolutely.
But I think, I'll tell you, for me, I feel like I'd be splitting hairs and I would just be like throwing a dart and hoping. Chianti Classico feels right. You have some bottle age development here. There's none of that overt oak character. I think Sangiovese is playing a huge part here. I don't see this being one of those examples that has a good kiss of Cab Sauv or any of that. I don't see that.
I'm not getting that sort of more like Maremma style, or more that super Tuscan style with Merlot or Cabernet, or even Syrah that they use sometimes now.
I'll tell you, having this wine after the Cab, it's a little challenging.
It is, because those first two reds were very bold.
Like, yeah, get in the ring with Tyson. Yeah.
Should we check it out?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Sixth and final.
I see the seal. Hey, but it works.
2021 Gatavecchi Rosso di Montepulciano from Tuscany, Italy.
So it's a little bit
21.
That's younger than we thought it was. So it's
I didn't.
So
get
it's
that
showing
at
a
all.
lot more maturity than you would expect for this kind of vintage.
Definitely.
That is for sure.
Wow.
Gatavecchi.
I mean, it's a very good producer.
So yeah, okay. So this is kind of classic. 90% Pugnolo Gentile, which is Sangiovese, and 10% Canaiolo Nero. So that's a classic. That's a classic.
Alcohol level of 13.5.
Yeah, classic.
Oh, come on, this is $18. That can't be.
Because it's Rosso di Montepulciano, I guess. But Rosso di Montepulciano can fetch a much higher price than this, depending.
This is much better than the $18 price tag.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
I would have put this at least like 25, if not more.
And this is not to be confused with Montepulciano di Abruzzo.
No. This is
Toscana. Yeah. All right. So we kind of landed a little bit of a rough landing on the last wine, but not too bad.
Well, you know what? So if this was on the MW exam, this is where you get points, is where you talk about how you got to where you got to. And even if it's not Chianti Classico and it's Rosso di Montepulciano, you'll get points for where you got there, because first of all, you got the grape variety, right? If you said Sangiovese, and you're talking about that sort of age range, and you talked about, so it's 21 instead of 18. But if we gave the reasons why we thought it was 18, and I stand by that, given what's in the glass. You have to talk about like what's in the glass, right? So that's the hard part, because when to your point earlier, when you're thinking like, oh, we're going somewhere, we're going fast, and that's dangerous. And that can be dangerous, because if you think, oh, it's this, and you're not really quite sure, you haven't actually sussed everything out in the glass, you can start fitting it into what you know about that wine or that grape variety, and that can be dangerous. So.
Yes. I think overall, we did okay. I mean, we hit a few actually quite well. We meandered off a little bit on a couple, but
I love the assyrtiko. It's gold.
It is so much easier doing this with another person. So, that was our cheat on this process. But overall, I think we did okay.
Yeah, it's not a cheat if you think about that. When you taste with other people, you learn so much more. Like the way that Bob was talking here, I always learn so much from listening to other people describe wines. And and then when we get to talk about it, it's so much fun. And even if you crash land, it just makes it that much more fun.
And you know, the crash land thing, sometimes really it comes down to how you're feeling that day. You know, did you rest well? I mean, do you feel clear headed? God forbid you have a cold when you're going into some sort of exam.
Hmm.
But
Can I say that I actually couldn't smell anything when I took my exam?
what?
I had a bad cold. Yes. So what you do is you train yourself by going on structure. Structure is so important. You know, the acid, the body, the tannins, the textures. Um, I, yeah.
I have never heard this story before. Really?
I thought I had completely bombed it by at the end of day one because that was all the white wines paper one. I was like, I'm dead. So it doesn't matter what I do in the next 2 days, I will have failed it. But I was like, no, when you take the exam, when one day is over, you have to put it out of your mind. Put it out of your mind completely and just move on because you just have to do yourself justice.
I'll tell you, cheers to you.
Oh, thank
Fantastic.
you.
Hey, Susan, thanks so much.
Thank you, Bob, for
Thanks.
having me with you. Had so much fun.
Yeah, this was a good time. Hopefully you enjoyed this. You got something out of it. Any questions, comments, please post them down below. I'll do my very best to follow up. If you've not yet subscribed, please do it now. Hit the like button and definitely hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to speed on all things happening here. Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.